Show. I'm your host, Chris. Joining me today are my co-hosts, Kelsey and Cody. And today we're talking about some Stranger fucking Things before season 3. Woot. Getting excited. When is the official release date for season 3? I did not see that.
July 4th.
July 4th. Okay.
Yeah, which is not next week. Is it next week? No, it's next week, right?
Yeah, actually. I think it is. Yes, it is. Yes,
Thursday.
it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guys, just so you know, the IMDb page for Stranger Things is covered in advertisements for Eggo Waffles. Covered.
That's
And to be
Wait.
clear, I have not Google searched Eggo Waffles in my life. So
I
this is
don't
definitely
know.
them.
Kelsey, I don't think I've told you this story, but I've ever told you my sad egg.
Oh my god, you did! It was amazing. Can you tell that story again?
Oh, I'm worried that I have 2 sad Eggo waffles. Not that crazy. So when Stranger Things season 2 was coming out, I was really excited, and a lot of my friends watched Stranger Things, and I was like, perfect. We're gonna have a waffle party, and we're gonna watch Stranger Things. It's gonna be great. So I invited people. I told them many days in advance, like, hey, we're gonna watch Stranger Things. We're gonna eat waffles. I'm buying lots of waffles. So I went to the store and I bought a ton of waffles the week before the show came out, and then I'm messaging everyone so you guys coming over for Stranger Things? And then they're like, no, we're busy. Everyone you know is busy. And I'm like, Mandy, want to watch Stranger Things season 2? And she's like, no, I don't like that show. It's scary. And I'm like, okay. So I think I watched it all in one sitting alone day, just eating frozen waffles cold.
Oh my god!
This, by the way, is a repeat to the time I went and saw Zombieland and told everyone after seeing Zombieland we should all have a Twinkie. So then chubby 16-year-old Cody goes to the store and buys 7,000 Twinkies, brings them to a friend's house, and is like, we can eat Twinkies like from the movie. And they're like, we don't like Twinkies. And I'm like, I guess I'm eating all these Twinkies.
Sounds like you need to stop doing food-related parties.
This is sad. That's all I do. It's all I do. Everything I do is to cook for people.
And let's be real. No, he just needs to invite better friends. If he had sent me the message and been like, come over, we're eating Eggo waffles and watching Stranger Things, I would have been like, fuck yes, let's do this. I would have been there.
You live 5 hours away, right?
I
I'm
also
very aware.
would have definitely had to say yes to the waffles, but I would have definitely went on a hard pass on the Twinkies. That would happen.
What's the matter with people and Twinkies? They're the most easy to like food. They're grease and sugar.
Just not a Twinkie, man.
Oh man, Kelsey,
Haven't
you're
had
making
one.
that face that says you've never had a Twinkie.
I'm not going to have one either.
Well, how do you know?
Just dodging it, man. Just dodging it.
They're vanilla ice
especially
cream flavored.
especially with the new Twinkies. Whenever I used to work at this one store, which I'm not going to name, but especially the new Twinkies. Whenever Hostess decided to close down their operations and then reopen their operations in Mexico because it's cheaper, and now the Twinkies come from Mexico, they actually have expiration dates on them. To where the old school Hostess did not have expiration dates on the Twinkies, just the Twinkies. Everything else had expiration dates. Twinkies did not.
Interesting.
Not that they did not expire, but they just did not have the expiration date because they had a very long shelf life.
So I've got a list of things that I don't generally like, and it's not a long list, but it's just foods that I don't eat for whatever reason. And at least once a year, I go back through the foods on that list, and I'm just like, do I actually hate these things? Because some people have written off food that they hated when they were young, and
Kelsey,
then they never go back to.
you need better things to do with your life. If you actually have this list archived and fucking check it annually.
Ask, do you
it's in my head. No, it's in my head. And
she's got a fucking library.
That a few years ago I was like, oh shit, I just kind of put Twinkies on. I should double check. And I bought myself some Twinkies. I actually got kind of excited, bit into them, and realized I don't like these. They do not taste good enough to be worth the 10,000 calories are in one bite. No, absolutely not. So I'm sorry, my friends, I would not have joined for that.
Twinkies, but that's okay. Stranger Things is great though.
Yeah, Stranger Things. Yeah.
Stop trying to have themed parties.
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
I will say we actually did just one last theme party. We did actually go to our friends. Me and a couple of my friends, we actually went to go to another fucking set of friends, which are actually viewers of the show, but I'm not going to call them out by names, but you know who you are when I'm talking about your party. Anyways, they threw a Game of Thrones party, and they literally themed everything. So they did like fucking Little Smokies and barbecue, and called them Little Fingers. They had puppy chow and called it
Dude.
Dire Wolf Chow. They did this, which was fucking amazing. And once again, you know who you are, so you need to make this for me because it was so fucking good. But it was like this Scotch snickerdoodle, like fucking crispy bar wall that they called the Wall. They also had actually, you know what? No, it was chicken fingers that they called the Little Fingers, and the other ones were called Theon's Dicks. The Little Smokies. That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. And they had something else too. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, they went all out. It was crazy. It was pretty cool. And then her husband was downstairs making drinks all night, and it was like drinks like titled after that. So it was like Dragon's Fire was one of them. It was kind of like a green Midori looking drink, but it was made with Everclear too, so he could set the top of the drink on fire. Had like a whole White
That's
Walker.
so
one.
cool.
Yeah, they went all out. It was great. It was the season opener. Yeah. See, last season opener. Unfortunately, you know, for obvious reasons, no one had a season-ending party, so I don't know why I had to clarify that. But, anyways, moving on back to Stranger Things, which hopefully doesn't go the same route. I like the show a lot. I'll definitely start out with that because I don't think we've ever talked about Stranger Things on Dead Funny. I think I felt like I liked the first season more though. I don't know.
I
if
definitely
that's...
did.
Yeah.
I remember that, and I think some of it is like, to me, part of the initial joy of the show was how much of it was an 80s nostalgia party.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
I'm,
Yes.
like, realistically, I'm not old enough to really be nostalgic for the 80s because I was born in 1992.
Right.
But you know, it's still fun to see like something from that time, and it's absolutely a fiction. Like, it's not actually probably very representative of what the 80s were like, but it's okay. It's like the nicest kind of nostalgia. It's just like the pleasant fiction of what we imagine the 80s to be like, and I'm cool with that. You know, it knows what it is. And like from like everything from the appearance to the soundtrack to like what things they're doing and what cars they're driving, and all of the costuming was great. You know, like all of these props were amazing to make it feel like how I imagined the 80s in the best sense I could imagine.
Fair enough.
It's like a lot of my favorite movies were kind of like teen dramas from that time. So like I like 16 Candles a lot, and I love The Breakfast Club, and all of these kind of like high school troubled teen drama shows that came out in the 80s. I love all of those. So, you know, Pretty in Pink, that's the other one.
Okay. Fair enough. So I guess I'm trying to think. If you had one thing to be excited for season 3, what would that be? What is one thing?
Mama Steve.
I feel like I should know what it is you're talking about, and I don't.
So Steve Harrington, when he just becomes the best mom show,
Oh, yeah.
he just spends all of his time being a maternal figure for the 4 boys.
Yep.
Mama Steve is my favorite character. Also, the character that had the biggest show, Steve Harrington, is just great. Like, I started watching season 1 again when I suggested this as a topic, just to be like, oh, I'll get back into it, you know. And man, Steve Harrington sucks. One, he is such a dick. He is the absolute worst. And then by the end of season 1, you're like, man, I kind of like Steve Harrington though. And then by the end of season 2, I'm like, I want to be his best friend. Steve Harrington is the best.
Yeah. You definitely fall in love with him more in the second season than you do in the first.
Yeah, like the first season he's like bad, and then he just like comes back and apologizes. Second season he's just like, I have no reason to help any of these people. Like, I'm not dating any of them. I'm not related to any of them, but I'm here and I have a baseball bat. So let's go save the world, kids.
This is the right thing to do, and I don't
like
understand.
It's like a Cub Scout leader, like, come on, kids, don't step in bear traps, please. He's like a Cub Scout leader with a nail baseball bat, so, you know.
I don't care for the fucking new guy. What's his face? Fuck, is it Mike? Is that what his
Oh,
name
the one
was?
with like the really bad mustache and like the long hair.
The fucking Billy Ray Cyrus wannabe looking guy. That guy.
Yeah, you know, Billy Ray Cyrus wannabe lookalike guy is a pretty perfect description for him. I don't know. He's obviously gonna have a character that I think he's gonna do a Steve Harrington turn because you kind of like find out his dad's abusive or whatever. So I'm guessing he's gonna like have an arc because Steve Harrington already kind of became a good person, so they didn't have a bad boy. So they made like a batter boy teenager, you know.
Mhm.
But the part where he goes and hits on the kid's mom, I like loved that scene because it was so cliche. It made me happy, but it was also painful to watch.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey, I'm looking for your mom.
I think
I
I'm really
am.
looking forward. I think I'm really looking forward to the monster. Because at the very end, they showed just the monster that was so much bigger than anything that we've seen before. And I thought that was really cool. And thus far, the relationship between our world and the underground has been done. Especially in the first season, that was freaky and really cool. And I loved
Chelsea, do
how
you mean the upside down?
Yeah,
the upside down. Yes. Oh my god, I called it the
Underground.
underground. God,
You did.
I just like royally fuck up more than once on this show.
I feel bad because I spent the last show we did together just dunking on you for like an hour. I'm trying to be nice. That's not what I want this to be.
Well, thank you for your grace, I suppose. But yeah, the upside down. I loved how the two were just like, I love the way they expressed how they were mirrors of each other, how they were just pressed against each other and they were influencing each other. And I thought that was very cool. They lost that a little bit in the second season as they made it more real because we had some of the
Yeah.
upside down in our world. So they lost some of the horror and the suspense element of it. But I'm hoping they can get some of that back now that they've introduced this crazy big ridiculous, like if that came to our world it would fuck up everything kind of monster. So I'm
That's
interested to see how that goes.
That's like a needle you have to thread with horror movie world building.
Yeah.
Is like if you make one movie and it's a horror movie, you don't have to explain anything. Like,
Ever. Yeah.
Paranormal Activity is a great example of this. Paranormal Activity 1, they don't explain nothing in that movie, right? It's just doors shut in a house. That's the whole movie. By the time you get to what freaking
Ghost,
Paranormal
Cody.
Activity
Ghost.
10, huh?
It's a ghost, Cody. Ghost.
Oh, Chris, look, we need to have our conversation about ghosts.
We do.
But you know, like, have you guys watched like the later Paranormal Activities, or am I the only weirdo that kept watching them?
I was
Keep
kept
talking.
watching them, but I definitely think I fell off the train at some point. I want to say,
Yeah.
I
By the
remember
end
the
of
first
it-
one was the couple, and then the
Yeah.
second. What was the one with the little girls? Was that 3 or 4?
I think like a lot of the later ones had kids.
Okay, well then never mind. I'm not even gonna try to go down the rabbit hole. I'll tell you what. While you're talking, I'm just gonna look them up and see which one's the
Well,
last one
my
I watched.
point is, by the end of those movies, or at least where I stopped, there's like, oh, there was a coven of witches in the 70s, and it's their ghost, and they
Whoa.
summoned a demon, and he still lives with this mirror that you brought. And, you know, they like
Bro.
explained everything.
I literally type in paranormal activities, and you know how like it always does on Google, so like images related to this, and it's normally images related to that. Fucking the image right next to it is Shutter Island. The fuck does Shutter Island have to do anything with paranormal activity? Nothing. Literally nothing.
But
Anyways,
I
continue.
think where Paranormal Activity started to slip was when they explained, like they tried to tell you why all this stuff was happening, and that kind of doesn't work. And that's what season 2 of Stranger Things did. Is like in season 1, the Upside Down was just there, and 11 could do something with it, and there was a monster that came from it, and that's all you knew.
Oh,
Like it was very
shit.
limited.
There's 6 of these fucking things.
There's tons of Paranormal Activities. They just kept going, man.
4.
So
I think it's
season
for sure the last
3,
one I watched.
like I think they either need to like make a really good, clean, understandable explanation, or they need to backpedal away from explaining it and just make it like scary crap's happening again and there's no explanation, you know, because that's a lot more engaging and scary to me than like an absolute written out set of rules for our mysterious horror movie, you know.
Well, you heard that the cast wants the show to end after this season, if not the next one.
Yeah, I mean, three
because they're worried
seasons
about where
feels
the
good.
writing is going and shit like that.
Yeah, well, and it's hard for any of these types of shows, like the death of shows like this. Go, we could do another season. It's like, know when to stop.
Yeah.
And season 1 was perfect, and I agree. Season 2 was a dip, and if it just keeps sucking with season 3, and season 2 didn't suck, but you know what I mean. Like if the trend,
if the trend keeps going, yeah, it's just gonna,
yeah,
it's gonna be Game of Thrones season 8.
yeah, right. And that's I don't want that because
We need some good shows.
right. And I
We
like
need
shows
some shows that
end
know,
gracefully.
that know where to end.
Right.
And I think they do have the opportunity. This is going to sound a little bit asinine, but I think they do have the opportunity to. In the 80s, we didn't have the best technology. And to basically come to the conclusion that we could find out more about this, but we just don't have the technology. And then just to like put that back, everything with the Upside Down back into that horror realm where we don't have anything that can measure this. We don't have anything that can explore this. We don't have anything to understand this because this is the 80s. Like, we're not putting this 50 years into the future. We have the opportunity to say, we can't do this.
I feel, and I might be wrong, this might just be my opinion on this, I feel that we've gotten a chance to fight these monsters, or as the kids call them, the Demogorgons, too soon. I thought we got the chance to fight them too soon. I thought like once that we got the chance where we're seeing like Steve being like fucking baseball bat hero and shit, like once we got to that point, it stopped being scary for me.
Yeah.
It definitely like took the horror suspense of it out, because at first it was like, we don't know what the fuck these things are, and the bigger driver home, in my opinion, in that is that these are kids. So it was like even scarier because it's like these are kids that are having to deal with this, and we don't know what the fuck these things are. And then we got fucking anybody can pick up a baseball bat and just fucking go chilling out and be completely fine. It was kind of like, well, and I understand they're trying to bring that back with the, like, as Kelsey and you were talking about earlier, with the presence of how big this next thing is going to be. I get that. It's one of those things where it's like that kind of took the horror suspense out of it for me, and like I think that's one of the things that I love so much about the first season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think by the end of like, it had a happy, like a horrible horror movie in that way, where like it ends with all the kids getting eaten and the town has to evacuate.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends on like a heroic up note, and it's just kind of like a creepy, still fun kids story. Like I would let kids watch that, like that we're in middle school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or probably even a little bit younger, but because it had a nice ending, and like bad stuff happened, but not that bad, and all the kids were fine. Like really, the only
not
body
that bad.
count
Are you kidding me? The saddest moment in television history: the death of Barbara.
Death of Barbara, the one that everyone forgot happened. They're like, we can't find Will and this other girl. Name I think was Barb. Who knows?
I hated that they just set her up as somebody that nobody cared about. And I don't think I think it had to be intentional. It just really sucked that they're like, yeah, we're going to grab this unattractive girl. We're going to intentionally make her like this big size that girls that are this size in our culture today, or even back in the 80s, were like, found it hard to be. And then we're going to make her completely forgettable and kill her off immediately. And it's like, did you have to make those choices? Jesus.
I don't think they fully meant to like give Barb as bad of a time as they gave Barb. Like, I understand that she was kind of there to like, that way it's not just one random kid goes missing, right?
Oh yeah, we've got a lingering mystery. I get it.
The threat of the Demogorgon is always there, and people are like getting attacked and stuff's going wrong. And so they made her Nancy's friend to bring Nancy into the story more.
Yeah.
But the story really wasn't about Barb, it was about Will. So then is it Will?
Yeah.
Yeah.
William.
It's about Will. So then he kind of overshadows her. No one really cares about Barb. And so it's just kind of the story forgot about her because she was not a main character. She was like a very minor character, really, in terms of screen time.
Her whole purpose was to maybe prevent the girl from sleeping with Steve, and that was about it.
Yeah, and they just made her very sad, but I don't know that all of that was... I don't know if they intentionally made the picture, or if they were just like, oh, we need Nancy to have a friend. We'll make her opposite Nancy, so she's like... Well, she's still bookish, but she's like frumpy looking, where Nancy's like super pretty and doesn't know it,
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, I guess she has to die because Nancy can't die, so... Oops.
So you're saying they did it on accident?
Yeah, kind of. I think that when you have a story like this, the main character's not gonna die. Nancy's not gonna die. Nancy's
Yeah,
best
Barb's
friend is
gonna
gonna die.
Yeah.
If you have the character Nancy, the obvious best friend to pair her with is Barb. She's like the absolute stock.
It
this is who
seems
we
like
would pair
what you're
Nancy with.
describing to me is this thing that I taught Kelsey, and for some reason she still doesn't fucking, say that I taught her. She just, I already fucking knew it, Chris. But the theory of the red shirts and the blue shirts, I had to fucking teach Kelsey what that was because she had no idea what the fuck I was talking about.
Yeah, you're describing.
You're describing the theory of the red shirts and the blue shirts.
It's a Star Trek reference,
No.
and he didn't realize that.
Chris, it's not that Chris didn't realize that. It's that Chris doesn't watch Star Trek. Because in my household, it was you were a Star Wars fan or you were not a Star Wars fan, and you weren't in the household anymore. So I was a Star
So
Wars
wait,
fan.
did you use the term red shirt and not realize it was a reference to Star
Yep.
Trek?
Yes,
Sure did.
and then I tried to
Oh.
explain it. He told me I was wrong.
I did.
And then we
I
Googled
told her
it,
I
and
was
he-
wrong. Whoa.
No,
we didn't Google
no.
shit. We didn't Google
I
shit.
told you were wrong, and then
There
you
were
tried
just
to
a
tell me I
lot of
was-
other people on the panel that were also Star Trek fans that were agreeing with you, so I chose to pick my battles at that point. I don't know if that...
Yeah.
I still find it hard to believe that came just from Star Trek. That wasn't somewhere, and then Star Trek used it, and it became popular.
Nope, it's Star
But-
Trek. You're wrong.
It obviously
Do you
wouldn't be
know
red
when
shirts,
Star
blue
Trek
shirts.
Came out? Do you know?
No, I
long
don't
ago?
fucking watch it, Cody.
It
We
was
just
the
talked about
60s.
this.
Oh my god!
Fuck Star
Her
Trek.
Red shirt came about in the '60s.
Fuck Star Trek.
Oh my gosh!
Ease.
You're wrong about Star Trek. Star Trek is great.
He's wrong about a lot of things, but we pick our battles.
Well, we'll do a review show on Star Trek someday.
And
It'll just
I
be
won't
me
be there.
alone talking to myself about Star Trek.
I'll be
You
listening,
can
and
get
then
Kelsey,
we'll just tie.
and you can get Bree.
No, we're gonna tie you to a chair and force you to listen. To the thing.
Nope.
It's gonna happen.
We could force you to watch Star Trek. It's real weird.
I watched it. Well, I didn't. I watched the new Star Trek shit,
Yeah.
and I didn't care for it.
TNG or it doesn't count.
Sure.
No, I mean, to me, like,
No, keep using acronyms. That'll help him figure it out.
the sad part is I actually know that one.
Oh,
That's
God.
the sad part.
I mean, you should. It's a ubiquitous one. No, I was gonna say to me, like, also the season 2 Barb is just Sean Astin, whose name escapes me. Like when he's dating, oh gosh, what's her name? Will's mom. Do you guys remember that Sean Astin was in season 2?
Nope.
Like Sam from the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right. Yeah, he was
God,
dating
yes.
Will's mom. Yeah, he was.
No,
Was he a doctor
I was-
or what was he? What was he?
No, he worked at Radio Shack.
He worked at
was
Radio
the
Shack. That's what it
saddest
was.
person in the world.
Yeah.
And somebody came, like, somebody was like freaking out and was like, "Oh, I really like Bob from Stranger Things,"
That's it.
and
Bob,
like,
yeah.
and it was on Twitter, and people were like, Samwise did not like carry Frodo in that fucking ring all the way up that goddamn mountain to be remembered as Bob from fucking Stranger Things.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
But he kind of had that same thing where it's just like, if you're gonna design a character kill, it's like you end up with Barb or you end up with Sean Astin. You know, like those are your
Yeah.
I mean, I don't,
typical killable Ensign Ricky-esque characters.
I don't know. I don't know.
You know, they're spares.
I just,
But no, it's gonna have that in the show.
I don't know. Like I said, it's not
What
like
are you
season
looking
2
forward
is
to,
bad.
Chris?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to getting that season 1 feel back. That's what I'm looking forward to. I hope that happens. And I don't know how they're gonna do that, but I hope that happens because, like, I don't know. Like I said, season 2 wasn't a letdown, but I honestly, I really was not a fan with like 11's whole story. I felt like that was like really completely just time wasting, in my opinion. I would have much rather had seen a lot more character building as a group between the group of friends and 11 versus this
Yeah,
other
that-
shit that was going on. I didn't care about that at all. That instantly took me like out of the zone for the show for that entire season.
It was weird that they split up the kids as much as they did, because they didn't even just break off 11. I mean, they did break to like the most extreme degree, but they did the same thing with like those 4 boys that are friends. They kind of ended up splitting up because like half of them we're into that girl from the arcade or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But it did kind of end up feeling like a game of Dungeons and Dragons where you split the party and then you're trying to like still have the party grow together, and it's just like, well, half of you are gone and it doesn't feel like you should be. Because they like introduced a bunch and that's where you start like getting into where they're describing the story when you find out that like 11 is not unique, and there's like, oh well, there's 1 through 10 are in a street gang in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And I'm
Chicago.
like, man, I wish that was true. Huh?
Chicago. And my husband lost his mind when they did that
What?
flyover of Chicago.
They were in Indianapolis.
No, it was Chicago. It was Chicago. Chicago.
See, I'm Googling this and I
No,
that's
go ahead.
kinda tacky.
Because my husband was losing his mind because my husband is from Chicago, and so he goes for the cameras to show the Chicago skyline that would be possible from where they were putting these people. Like, there is no land there. There's Lake Michigan. There is just Lake Michigan. He was very upset. And I thought it was a minor detail, but he was losing it.
I've met your husband quite a few times, and I have nothing wrong with him, but that would drive me nuts if I was sitting next to him and that's what he was complaining about. I'd be like, bro, look, man, you need to think of something else because this shit ain't working. All right? This shit just ain't working. Love your husband to death, but I'd be like, nah, man. Nope. Sorry. You can watch Stranger Things at your fucking house and complain about fucking skylines all goddamn day.
But get out.
There are plenty of other things to pick apart. Oh, man.
Yeah, I didn't actually love meeting other people that had Eleven's powers. I
Yeah.
didn't love that. Having her be the unique one, I actually enjoyed a lot
Freaking
more.
Shoot. It was Chicago.
I know! It's got a very distinctive skyline, Cody.
Yeah, Cody.
And you live in Indianapolis. Like, you should freaking know what that skyline looks like.
Well, yeah, and I think maybe there have been. I think it was Harper's backstory. Hopper. It was
Hopper.
no, Hopper's backstory. I think there's shots of Indianapolis because there were shots of Indy that I recognized. which is
Oh,
why-
yeah, that's
and I
right.
think I thought that was that. So, anyways, I was wrong. It was Chicago. I'm upset about it.
I was so right, and it
I
feels
enjoy
so nice.
my version of the story more, where 11th Street Gang is in the city that I live in. But whatever. I don't get to
No.
have cool things. I do love that the show's set in Indiana too. And the
Yeah.
house that like the main character Mike lives in just looks like my house. If you like added a brick addition onto my house, you just get the house from Stranger Things. And I'm like, my house was built in the early 80s. Maybe that means I'll be haunted someday. I can hope, you know?
Yeah.
Your
But
wife
I
would
also
not
like-
like that.
I know, and I've tried to get my house haunted in so many different ways, and it just will never happen. But oh well.
Be careful. What
Someday
you
I'll
wish
get
for.
to live the Frightener's life.
See, you want your house haunted, but you're the guy that if you hear a sound in the middle of the night are like, ugh, maybe if I just be asleep, the guy won't kill me. Like,
Okay, this
that
is
won't
a
work
real
with a
story.
Demigorgon.
About 2 nights ago, when I heard a sound outside of my house, and I actually walked around and figured out what it was because I couldn't sleep because it was like a ticking noise. And clocks keep me up. If it had been footsteps, it would have been fine, but it was a clock sound. That drives
It
me
would have been
nuts.
fine if it was footsteps. I like that.
Yeah, well, I would have assumed it was Roomba walking around. Eventually, I found out it was the downspout in my neighbor's house. There was like water dripping from it and hitting the metal, and I could hear that in my bedroom, and it was keeping me awake. It drove me nuts.
Like,
Like, I was just, like, standing outside of my house.
Fan?
At 3 a.m, just looking at water dripping, like, freaking screw you, water. I'm so mad at you, water. Anyways, these are Indiana problems. No, but I like that they didn't make Indiana suck, too. That they weren't just like, hey, let's do the thing that we do where Indiana sucks. Boop, done, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't go Pawnee with it, and I appreciated that. There also weren't mountains in the background, which I also appreciated.
I would like to
Yes.
go ahead and stop you where you're at and say Parks and Rec was a goddamn treasure, sir.
I love it, but they do make Indiana suck.
Oh, I was going
mean,
to say, they did not present Indiana well in that particular thing. I've lived there. It's
Indiana
not funny.
just sucks. So how about that?
Well, you know.
No.
Anyways,
I think
it's not as good as Houston. That's all there is to that. But I will say this though. I think a reason why I like Stranger Things season 1 so much better was because we're talking about like this whole like look and feel of it. I'm a huge fan of It, and it reminds me of like It a lot. The whole first season reminds me, like, it gives me that kind of like creepy feel that the first It does, and I like that a lot. I like that a lot. So
it definitely had its influences in like Stand By Me, It, gosh, every other Stephen King book about kids, because there's like a million of them. But it had that feel to it, which was again very much something like Stephen King was really big in the 80s, so that made sense. That it definitely was a cool homage to a lot of these different pieces of fiction. And yeah, and that's where like the novelty of season 1 wore off by season 2, and then they just kind of had some lacking story elements. So that's, to me, why it took a little bit of a nosedive.
Fair enough.
But it ended in a way that I was happy with. I liked the snowball dance. I thought it was cute. I liked the thing with Dustin. He's like my favorite character.
He reminds me a lot of you, actually.
Yeah, right? Except he's nicer than I am. I don't think I was ever as nice as Dustin was. I think I was more like the bully that peed himself. Except like less eloquent. That's probably more like how I was.
Yeah.
Or really, I think I've just always been Hopper, but Hopper before he went on a murder investigation. Hopper when he was just like, I don't want to do my job, I just want to eat donuts. Cody since he was 10.
Yeah, see, I had a mom that was like deep into Stephen King, so like between my mom and my grandma both just constantly terrorizing the shit out of me with fucking just scary stuff as I was a kid. My grandma all about the horror movies and my mom all about the horror books. Like I grew up with that shit. So I fucking like the horror aspect I really, really fucking love. That's why I like kind of like scary games and shit like that, even though sometimes they scare the shit out of me. Some games, like honestly, I don't really like admitting this one that much, but one game I had real difficulty getting through. Like I literally would have had to take a break because I'm like, all right, I've had like enough adrenaline for tonight. Fucking Outlast.
Oh yeah.
And they did that perfect because you can't fight back. You cannot fight back. You are literally a normal person that cannot fight. There is no like fighting. It's either you fucking hide and hope to God they don't find you, or hope to God you can outrun them. One or the other. One or the other has to happen. But you cannot fight back. There is no fighting.
Wait, so you're in a... How do you play this game? Are you just like constantly like
you
running
run
around
away.
hiding?
You run around hiding and stuff. Yeah, you cannot fight back.
Have you ever played Outlast?
Yes.
No.
Well, she doesn't like scary shit. She doesn't like scary though. She doesn't like scary shit.
I don't care. That's why we should play it. What are you talking about?
I agree with you. I agree with you. But when we first started this channel, it would come. I'm never gonna fucking do anything scary, Chris. It's never gonna fucking happen.
I just want to be real clear. We had a Fright Night going. We still do. We had a Fright Night going. And I just want to be real clear. Not my thing. Nobody wants to deal with crying Kelsey at 2 in the morning because she heard a sound and she's convinced something's coming to kill her.
Is all we want to deal with.
That is all we want to deal with.
I don't think you understand what entertainment is.
Yeah, I don't think she understands the word of content.
Watching you calmly play a video game is not very entertaining. Me laughing hysterically while you're crying in a corner, on the other hand, is really creepy. There's a middle ground somewhere in between there. So wait, was Stranger Things too scary for you, or was it like okay?
Stranger Things at the very beginning, when like the stuff's coming through the walls and stuff like that, that definitely freaked me out. So then watching that immediately going to bed, I was very scared. But once we got a little bit more of the Upside Down and we had a little bit more of an opportunity to like understand, it became less scary. So it got a little frightening. I think it was like episode 2 or something like that, right after that episode. And then from there I was fine. So
also like this is just like me remembering little bits of the show that I've seen, but like there's a real tense scene where like Joyce, that's her name, that's Will's mom, is like clawing at the wall and she like sees this like creepy glass or like transparent like fleshy looking hole in her wall and she can see Will through it. Like that sequence of her seeing that and then them pulling the fake dead Will's body out of the lake is so well shot, and the soundtrack is so perfect for that. It's just like an incredible sequence.
Yeah, it really is.
That just draws you into the show. And especially in season 1, it was just full of that. Because, it sucks in you real hard with the mystery.
Season 1 was fucking great. Season 2.
I I loved the way that they shot Joyce doing this, like, not going crazy. Joyce not going crazy. Like, she was experiencing these things and everybody around her is convinced she's nuts. And based on who she is and the fact that people already started by thinking she was crazy and then this happened and it only made it worse. Like, this is a prime opportunity for gaslighting and for her to begin like being eaten away by self-doubt and like just like having that weird thing. So for her to stay so strong in spite of the fact that people are completely convinced she's nuts, that was really cool and definitely added to both the suspense and the drama, because I kept waiting for somebody to be like, we're institutionalizing you, and her to just be sitting there going, no, I'm the only one who actually knows what's going on, and it is weird enough that people are going to think I'm nuts.
Yeah, I think she got some like flack when season 1 came out. I remember people being like, oh, she's like overacting or like being too crazy, or she seems like really spastic. And I'm like, well, that's kind of her character.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that was the trick, is that she had anxiety problems. Like, everyone in town knew that she was a little bit zany.
Mhm.
So then it's like really understandable why everyone's just like, oh, she's gone nuts. Like, she's just lost her mind. And it's
yeah,
like,
her son's gone. She's buying a bunch of Christmas lights.
yeah,
I
it's
guess
like
that's
she's
Joyce.
acting super crazy. And like, and she even says it. She's like, I know, I sound nuts, but I'm not. I promise.
Yeah. I thought that was
Yeah,
really
it does
cool.
a really good job in like the pacing of that, like everyone really just thinking she's crazy, and like, but then like the episode where she does kind of finally go like, oh, maybe like I am. It's like when her ex-husband comes back, is when
Mhm.
like everyone else starts to figure out that she's not, you
Right.
know? And so it's
Yeah.
like they pace that out really well for like the discovery to come right at the same moment that she's starting to have some doubts, you know?
Yeah.
So
No, but I
season 1
thought-
was done really well. Season 1 was
Yeah.
done really well. I was a big fan of the show. Season 2, I was kind of like, I hope season 3 is better. It wasn't terrible, but I hope season 3 is better.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, it's one of those things that like Game of Thrones season 8 was bad as a show. To me, Stranger Things season 2 was bad compared to season 1.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
compared to
I would
most
agree.
other television, it's still great. It's still like better acted, better scored, better shot.
It's just
Like,
season
every-
1 I watched multiple times. Season 2, it was
Yeah.
like one and done was for me, and that was good enough for that.
Well, like, I think in a lot of ways you can kind of see the echoes. Like the same thing with Game of Thrones, where it was like, was it watershed, I believe is the expression, like a watershed moment for like cable television. Stranger Things was that for Netflix. Like, that was like the big turning point show on Netflix that became like this cultural phenomenon.
And increase the public awareness of Netflix originals and acceptance of Netflix originals.
Yeah.
That's definitely, I would agree with you.
Because there were a lot of weird Netflix originals, but there weren't any like, oh, this is one of the most popular television shows, Netflix originals, up till that point.
I would agree. I think we might be forgetting one, but I'm not sure.
Well, I'm trying to remember when the Marvel movies came out. I think it was after, though.
That's a good question.
But yeah,
I don't know. I might put money on that Daredevil came out before Stranger Things season 1.
ooh, I'm curious now. I'm gonna look that up real quick. I'm sorry. I know
Daredevil
that
for sure was the
myself
first
up.
one. I know that for a fact. Daredevil was the first one out of the Marvel ones. Maybe Stranger
Which that
Things
was also an
first.
amazing.
Yeah, I love Daredevil. Daredevil was good. It was one of the good ones.
Had the same season 2 problem. I'll say that.
Yes, that is correct.
I mean, and
Sequels
that's
are
just
rarely
like-
as
Because
good.
I was so
Yeah.
happy for that. Because like whenever he finally donned the actual fucking suit and fought Kingpin at the end, I was like, "Fuck yes!" And then it was automatically back out of the suit again. I was like, "You fucking son of a bitch!" I just want to see you don the fucking suit and be the Daredevil I read about in the comics. God damn it!
Oh, you know what, Chris? You're right.
Daredevil
Daredevil
was
came out
first?
first. Yeah,
Damn.
year earlier, 2015. But
But I
yeah,
don't
so
know that the Daredevil was consumed by as many people as Stranger Things.
I don't think as much, but it did have the quality that I
Yeah,
think
it
Stranger
had
Things had.
amazing quality. The
Okay.
first season was fucking phenomenal. It was so good. So
Yeah, it was.
I-
It was very
I'll put it this way. That show was so good. I am extremely surprised that its last season got canceled, but yet we're still getting the next season of Jessica Jones. That makes absolutely 0 cents to me. 0 cents to me. Jessica Jones was not a bad show, but that makes 0 sense to me. She was not the fucking showrunner. Daredevil easily was the best.
I disagree with you.
Oh, fuck that, dude. Absolutely not.
Fuck
that nonsense.
It was not good. Oh, man. I was bored. I fell asleep a lot. Now, the fair thing to point out is
hold on. You talking about you were bored during Jessica Jones?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm yelling at you for no reason. I mean, I wasn't necessarily bored. I thought it was entertaining to an extent. It wasn't Daredevil good. Like it's really rough because like I had a hard time getting through Iron Fist, and I had another hard time getting through Luke Cage as well.
Okay, this is not about Stranger Things, but I don't care.
Not.
I'm so
We're talking
mad
about Netflix
this.
movies right now. It's all good.
Half of Luke Cage was the best thing I've ever seen.
Like
the 50% of Luke Cage before Cottonmouth died.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay, because here's the thing. Okay, there's a plot twist in Luke Cage, right? The whole time, there's this mystery bad guy called Diamondback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the whole show, there's a really cool, really charismatic villain called Shades, who all he does is be like a hype man for Diamondback. He's like, when Diamondback gets here, things are going to go crazy. And he just uses the Diamondback name to threaten people. And somehow, the people did not realize the interesting twist is he's Diamondback the whole time. That would have been a cool show. Is this guy like pretends that there's an even more super villain that he's working for, and he's just like the errand boy, but really it's him? No. Get rid of Shades. Shades was a boring character. We're just gonna bring in Diamondback in the last episode, and he sucked. And he just quoted the Bible in ways that made no sense. Ugh, I'm angry. Sorry, I'm angry at Luke Cage.
I lost all interest in that show. The episode they decided that dude was going to shoot an actual rocket launcher at Luke Cage and blow up the restaurant.
Yeah.
Because little known fact, because we do have some Dark Star fans that watch us. Little known fact, I don't know if they'd ever made it to the channel. I can't remember if it did or not. I think episode 1 did. But we were doing a live reaction to Luke Cage because we were going to try to jump on the Marvel train hype for live reactions. We got to that episode, and even Tony's like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I can't. Yeah. I can't do this anymore. And that was the last episode we reacted to. That was like episode 5 or some shit. I can't remember how early it was. It was pretty early. It was pretty fucking early. It started
out so good though. Like the first, the point
so
where
dumb. It's such a dumb scene.
No, well, because his whole thing was dumb. I have a power suit. It makes me punch hard. What? You're the worst villain ever. Bring Shades back. Shades was cool.
I mean, yeah, I also understand because I'm guessing Kelsey didn't watch this. But
nope.
The entire thing definitely has this whole ghetto villain atmosphere where it's all about gangsters and guns and thugs and stuff like this. And then out of nowhere, this random mob boss is just chilling out on this fucking rooftop waiting for Luke Cage to walk where he normally goes and just pulls out a fucking RPG out of nowhere and just fucking blows up the store. It was insane.
And then quotes confusing things from the Bible.
Yes, that as well. That was also something that he did.
With a villain that uses biblical references to be intimidating. I'm not fine when those biblical references don't make any sense. And religion has not been a theme in the show. Why bring it up?
Yeah.
None of these characters are religious. Why do you bring it up? It's just confusing.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
But Daredevil was great.
I mean, I finished that show. I just quit on Iron Fist. Or whatever.
Iron Fist is so terrible, and I feel so bad because Dylan, poor Dylan, that's his favorite Marvel character, and he got a show, and it's like I said, usually what I used to do, and I might end up bringing that back, but the review show opening used to be me insulting everybody for who they picked to go behind them, and Dylan had picked Iron Fist for one of our things, and I was like the only person to watch Iron Fist so many times on Netflix that it got greenlit for a second season.
Wait, hang on. Do we get to pick favorite characters to be behind us for Stranger Things? Because if so, I want to pick my favorite character.
It's a tad bit too late for that because we're already recording it. Normally that happens before.
Can you just in post? Can you put the librarian that Hopper slept with one time behind me?
I'm just gonna put her over you.
Devastating to him, and it is the best scene in the show when he just walks into the library. And she's just like, "Oh, no call," and he's just like, And she's like, that's fine. I guess that's how you treat women. He's just like, my coworker's here. She's just like horrible to him the whole time. I loved that part anyways.
You go for the
Sorry.
fucking weirdest parts to fucking just
It's so
latch onto
funny.
and something. I
Oh
swear
my
to God.
gosh.
It's crazy.
This poor just Hopper's face as he's just like cringing through having to go and ask her for help after not calling her was perfect.
Good
Yeah,
Lord.
it was pretty good.
You just gotta
Anyways.
learn to appreciate these terribly awkward human moments, Chris. It's not all about terrible CG monsters.
I don't know.
Did that kind of take you guys out of it a little bit? The CG like monster face for the Demogorgon.
CG monster face, and then especially like the last episode, or I think it was entirely the last episode where they did like all of the Demigorgons like getting together and then like being able to psychically link as a pack and then get called to the like the rift thing and just like all of that. That definitely pulled me out. Because
Yeah,
it just the operational pace, the narrative pace, I'll say it that way, the narrative pace just drastically changed.
yeah.
And just drastically changed. It was hard to like keep up with how we'd been working to that point. And there's like all of our characters were in different places discovering different things. It just that whole show, that whole like episode didn't work for me the way
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to.
I think the issue for me is that like CG monsters work really good when you can't see them very well.
Yeah,
Like,
when you
really
Cloverfield
dimly
them.
lit. Yeah, and it's just like, ooh, you can see like a creepy silhouette. But as soon as it's in like bright light, and as Chris pointed out, they're just having a baseball fight with him. I'm like, your budget wasn't this good, actually.
Yeah.
You've made a
Yeah.
mistake.
The sad part
Mhm.
is like you brought up the Cloverfield thing. I know I'm about to get judged for this. 10 Cloverfield Lane was easily the best out of all of them. in my
I
opinion.
haven't seen it yet, and I want to. I've heard it's the best.
It's on Netflix. What the fuck are you doing with your life?
No, the
Watch it.
Cloverfield Effect is on Netflix.
Yeah, I don't think 10
No,
Cloverfield
10
Lane is on
Cloverfield
there.
Lane used to be on Netflix.
Yeah, I don't think it's on there
I'm gonna-
anymore.
I'm gonna Google this, and then I am going to be right about something during this review.
Yeah, I think
because,
you may actually be right, and I'm really nervous about that.
Yeah, I
But,
don't think it's on there, but
I'm never
the
gonna
first
let you
one's
live
coming
it
back.
down.
The first one's coming back in July, which is great because I'm gonna watch it again.
yeah.
Oh, that would be
So
perfect
good.
for you because it's like a disaster. Oh yeah, Kelsey, would that make it good if like the whole town got blown up? Would that be like yes?
I mean,
Huh?
yeah, a little bit.
You heard it here first, folks. Kelsey wants the entire town to blow up, and then she also wants all the kids to die.
I do not. Don't put those words in my mouth. I want them to live. I just want them
She
to
wants
have,
all
you
the
know,
kids
the
to
scars
die.
of losing their home.
I mean, I want one of them to die at least. Otherwise,
Yeah, I mean, where's the Game
Did
of
you
Thrones
realize
aspects?
Dustin is so lovable? Like he runs the risk of being the one to die
yeah,
he
I
may
mean,
be the
that's
red
true.
shirt.
Kelsey,
because it's him or the
Kelsey,
black kid. They're not killing the black
Kelsey, if you don't understand where the reference comes from, you can't use it. Like that's just all there is to that. All
kid.
right.
I hate you so much.
I think I might be the only person that's really watched a lot of Star Trek.
You are.
I don't
I've
know.
seen more
I
of it
don't
than
know.
him.
I don't know. There's been some times on some Dark Star shit and stuff like that where Bree, I'm pretty sure Bree has probably seen
oh, no, yeah,
the
she
Next
likes
Generation
Yeah,
multiple
yeah.
fucking times.
Well, red shirts don't apply to Next Generation though, because in Next Generation, red shirts were command officers, not security officers. So really, in Next Generation, I think it would have been yellow shirts, but really at that point, it doesn't really apply. It's just the concept that when you have an away mission, the unnamed character's definitely dead. So don't go on away missions. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, because every
Chris,
time
when you
I've
join
ever heard that, it was
Starfleet Academy,
no, I'm not.
don't go on away missions.
Not happening.
Particularly,
I will
if
say
it's
this: I have
with you.
I have zero interest in Star Trek. Zero.
I just don't understand that.
But,
it's
Well,
there's
to
so
be
much-
fair, to kind of help you understand it a little bit, I am not big on the Final Frontier, like the whole space exploration and stuff like that. Like Halo is as far as I dive into that. I really don't care for like the futuristic thing. I'm much more of like a medieval person. I love swords, spells, dragons. Give me all that shit. That I love. I'll go all about that.
Mhm.
Whenever it comes to this whole like the Final Frontier and space and what's out there, I'm like, I could get your shits. I really don't care. It's just one of those like Halo was a push for me at first. Like I did not care for the first Halo at all because of the whole all the space shit.
Yeah, there should have been crossbows in Halo.
But
That
as it
would've
kept
really-
going on, then I was like, all right, this is fucking great. But that being said, I really want to try out that fucking Star Trek VR where like you're all on a ship, like you all your friends are on a ship, somebody's the commander and everybody can like fucking do certain things in the fucking ship and it shows like everybody sitting in their seats and commanding the thing. I actually really
If
want to try
that
that
thing
out
is
pretty
not
bad.
called the Kobayashi Maru, I hate it.
I hate that I understand that reference.
Did you understand that
Yes,
reference?
I did.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
I did too.
Fuck,
Okay, good.
because it was in the newest movie, or it was in the first new movie.
Oh, yeah, shoot, it was.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. A version of it was in the latest movie.
Yeah, so.
Sorry, I'm gonna get all poopity about my Kobayashi Maru.
But anyway, so yeah, Stranger Things 3 season 3 is around the corner. It's coming.
I'm really excited.
We're excited.
I just want to watch more Stranger Things.
We're hoping it's
like,
good.
Unless it's bad, I'm gonna enjoy it. It would have to be really bad.
It would have to be
for me
worse
to be
than
like,
season
"Ugh."
2 for me to kind of be like, I don't know if I'm
Yeah,
really hyped for
true.
season 4.
True.
Like, well, yeah, and that's true. I hope they kind of end it. Like, I hope this is not an excuse for a season 4.
Because this is where I kind of see it. If it's a season 1 level, I'm gonna fucking flip my fucking lid. If it's
Yeah.
the same as a season 2, then I'm like, all right, cool. We're not going down, so maybe season 4 we're chugging back up the hill. Maybe. If it's worse than season 2, I'm gonna be like, bro, look, I've already been hurt
Yeah.
once already for 2019. I don't know if I can do this again.
Well, the thing is, though, if they make a season 4, it feels like they're gonna try not to end it. You know what I mean? Like, 3 seasons is a trilogy. There's not a lot of things that release 4 things and then end. You know what I
Right,
mean?
it would be like season 5
Yeah.
or some shit for sure.
Yeah.
But still, it's the point that I don't want to do that. Right, this is the best way to say it. And if the people who made fucking Game of Thrones is watching this, you're the reason why I can't trust vans with candy written on the side anymore. Like that's the way I look at this now. You're that reason. So now if this next season comes out, that cool sports car that fucking they keep driving around in the fucking show has now turned into a white van that just says free candy on the side of it, and I can't jump on that board and ride along to season 4. I'm just not going to be able to do it. It's just not going to be possible. I'm going to be like, I'm going to be too weary. I'm going to be like, I don't know, man. That free candy looks like some fucking heartbreaking letdown coming down the road. I don't know if I can do that.
Be really bad. It would have to be really bad for me to quit because I loved the first season and the second season was good, just not as good. But man, they have a long way to fall before I'm disappointed.
I just don't want it to turn into an Office. That's what I don't want it to do. And I'm not
Even
talking
though
about the
13
length.
seasons?
I'm not talking about the length because I love the Office.
Oh.
I love the entire length of the Office. But where I don't 100% love it, or what I mean by that is I don't want to be like, dude, you know what? Been searching through Netflix for like an hour. I really want to just watch something. I'm gonna watch Stranger Things and then only watch the first season and then just pick something out as soon as the first season's done. Because I do that with The Office now, where like I'll watch the first 6 seasons and then like everybody knows, obviously Steve Carell leaves, so then it's like, all right, cool, all right, I'm done with that. I'm gonna go watch something else now. Like I don't want it to be an Office for me, where it's I would love to like watch it and then be like, all right, cool, I'm just gonna have to fucking pain through season 2, but I know season 3 is good, you know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That
Well,
I'd be
that
okay with.
happens with trilogies is that you'll have like the season 2 slot.
Right, and I'm okay with that.
Movie
I
two,
don't want
yeah.
the season 3 to be bad and then season 4 to be worse, or if they ended at 3, cool, whatever. And then I'm just like,
Yeah,
well.
then get to season 8 and hate it and give it like a 2 out of 10 or whatever I gave it.
Yeah.
It definitely does
No,
not need to go longer than 3 seasons, in my opinion. I think that if they do
No.
it good enough, they can end it here.
Yeah.
I don't think it needed to go longer than 1, but
I
then they
don't
made
think so either.
season 2, and season 2 kind of did make me go like, maybe you should do season 3 and like
maybe,
wrap it up.
maybe you should do season 3 and rethink some of the choices that you made.
Well, just like have more of the scenes that I wanted. Like put the kids together, let them figure out a problem as a team.
Yeah, I definitely want to see. And I think that was such a big thing for me with the It thing, too. Is like it was like all about the kids in the first one.
Oh,
They didn't
also,
have
yeah.
the help of the parents. It was all about the kids for It.
Yeah.
And I like that in the first season of Stranger Things. It was all about the kids.
Yeah, that's true. Because by the second season, they were kind of like working together.
Yeah, yeah. It was all like,
More-
don't worry, we'll fucking tackle these problems together. We got
Yeah.
this. We're
Well, and that was like
friends.
in season 1. That was like a kind of tense moment where they had to like bring Hopper in and like trust him at all because they didn't. You know, they were like hiding. from the
Mhm.
government or whatever and had to trust somebody, and that was a cool moment seeing them all come together.
Yeah.
No, but I was gonna say a nice framing thing that I like just realized as like a good indication of character growth is the beginning of season 1. There's a moment between Dustin and Nancy where he like tries to be nice to her and give her pizza, and she just like slams the door in his face. And the end of season 2, they dance together because she's like being nice to him. And I was like, that's like a nice character growth. Like,
Yeah.
it's a nice bookend for this story, is showing like Dustin going from being like ignored by this girl to them being friends and kind of respecting each other. I was like, oh, that's cool. That was it. Well done, show. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gave us the feelies.
I'm not a
Yeah.
big fan of Nancy. I don't know why. Sometimes, like when I'm watching her screen, something about her just irks me, and I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to
She
figure
has
it out.
kind of a hateable face. Like, you know
Maybe.
how some people, you just look at their face and it's like, yeah. Sort of like Steve Harrington, too. Like, has a hateable face. Like, he just has, like, a douchebag face, you know?
I mean,
But,
sure.
Well,
like-
I like her.
Like I said,
Well, no, I mean, she's-
I don't
she's
hate
not-
her.
Yeah.
She just, I don't know, man. I don't
She
know.
just looks like someone that would
Just
say something
sometimes.
mean to Barb, but then still be her friend so that she could have Barb as her friend, you know?
Okay.
She has that face, you know? And also, she's mean to Dustin, so screw her for the first half of the show.
See, I don't have a
She's
bias
a
like
teenage
that. I don't
girl
care
who
about
doesn't
Dustin.
think he's interesting. Like,
Yeah,
makes sense to me.
I don't know.
Dustin is adorable. There is never a time it's okay to not like Dustin. Are you kidding with me right now?
Maybe a big reason why I don't like her is because she's into Jonathan. I don't like Jonathan at all.
Jonathan looks like someone I wouldn't leave my kids with.
I
Like, he
mean,
doesn't have douchebag face. He has, like, creepy face.
Yeah, he's untrustable at this point. Yeah.
He's, like,
I don't know.
easily looking.
Yeah.
He's the Snape. And we're hoping he doesn't turn into Snape.
Oh, that's rough. Damn, hit him with the Snape thing. You know that fucking. I was gonna be so
You
excited.
also know that Snape was, like, the hero of Harry Potter, right? Like,
Snape was not the hero. I have never ever been on the side of like, oh yes, get an always tattoo. Like, no. He was somebody who didn't understand boundaries and who very much violated them and spent the rest of his life in this very weird place that is not a redeemable arc. I do not see his arc as redemptive, and we can have this argument off screen.
Fair enough.
this is a long argument. This is like
We're gonna have a long argument. I'm gonna come
this is
visit
like
you and
me
we're gonna have this
Diana
argument.
arguing about whether or not Jamie Lannister's a good person for way too long on a Facebook chat. But
Yeah, I
you're
did
wrong
not read
about
that.
Snape. You
I
should
did
have.
not read that.
It
I was
it
in Canada. I
It
wasn't
was
reading
only
that.
700 pages. Anyways.
Anyways, but yeah, fuck, I was just waiting. Oh, anyways, the reason why I also don't like that guy is he's like one of the reasons why the New Mutants, and once again, I have not been proven wrong yet, but the New Mutants got canceled was because they had to fucking they had to look to replace his character because he's like fucking strung out on cocaine and shit like that. Like the other areas. Yeah, and I really
Yeah.
wanted to
shit.
see New Mutants like really bad. Like I know that sounds dumb coming from my mouth because it's a Marvel movie, so duh, Chris, obviously you want to see New Mutants, but it was gonna be Marvel's first horror film. Like I really wanted to see New Mutants, but what are you gonna do? But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. I think we rambled on about multiple different fucking things and some Stranger Things in there. But basically, I think leaving from this, I think we all could say if we had to fucking be all like, you know, yay and like it was season 1 was a yay and season 2 was a and we're hoping that season 3 is gonna be a going into a yay. That'd be fantastic. And if it's gonna end at season
Indeed.
3, hopefully it's a really good fucking yay. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of us are also on the same page that we hope it ends at season 3 as well. But
Yeah, I'm definitely on that train.
yeah, for sure. But we'll go ahead and end it here. So if you enjoy this content, make sure you like and subscribe. Also turn on those notifications so that way you get notified every time you upload another video. Yeah, not us. You. Pressure's on you now, bitches. Ha! Anyways, so hit us in the comment section below. Let us know what you're excited for in season 3. We'll jump down there and debate it with you, and I'll just tell you that you're wrong and that fucking season 1 was way better than anything you had to say. I'm sorry. It's true. But if you have that to say, I will agree with you. I will like your comment. I will love your comment. All right. I will make love to your comment. All right. Boom. Ease. Yes, got the
We
Kelsey.
shouldn't record this
food
late at
factor.
night.
We should not. No, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
you
rambling
get
going on.
weird. You get full weird.
You should see. You should hear some of the shit that comes out of my mouth on our late night Dark Star recordings. All right. Let's just put it this way: I can easily jump in the Dark Star Discord and say I'm at half mast right now, and everybody's just like, "All right, cool. It's just a normal Chris thing to say."
And everyone's just like, yeah, stop watching Sword Art Online. We know.
Hey, Asuna though. That's all I'm saying. Bay. Anyways, but it's in the Twitter links and the Twitch links.
I agree with your face, Kelsey. There's better female
Yeah.
characters in Sword
There
Art
is.
Online.
Yes, that's the only thing that's motivating this face, obviously.
That is definitely not what's motivating that face. Don't you fucking lie to me, Kelsey. There is no one better in the fucking Sword Art Online, female-wise, than Asuna. Anyways, but
Gosh, I'm really trying to think of one now, and I can't.
and you can't because they don't fucking exist. Asuna is bae.
Show does not portray
Quit
women in a
your
very good
shit.
light.
I'm with Cody.
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
You haven't seen Sword Art Online yet, Kelsey. You don't know.
She's seen.
Yeah, I have.
She's seen the
What, you've
first arc.
seen it?
She saw
I
the
didn't
first
Yeah,
know
arc.
I've seen
that.
it. I've seen
We've
it
talked
all the
about
way
this
through the first
before.
arc. Yes.
We've talked about this before, haven't we?
Yes.
I believe
Okay.
she even chimed in on some of the stuff on the podcast she was on. I think. And maybe you weren't part of that. Now I'm starting to think it was just Brie and Mandy. Maybe. I don't know. Who fucking knows? We do so many episodes. Monday through Friday, by the way, in case you're new to the channel. Monday through Friday. New episode out. Yeah, 7 a.m. Central Time. Every fucking Monday through Friday. But we'll see you next time, guys.